Plenty to come on the show, but first, Ange Postecoglou has revealed he knew he was going to be sacked by Tottenham before the Europa League final. Postecoglou, who has just been appointed as manager of Nottingham Forest, led Spurs to their first trophy in 17 years when they beat Manchester United in the final in Bilbao. Well, he says that every Spurs fan he has met since has wanted to thank him and give him a hug.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I knew it was coming, so it wasn't a surprise. So that's the one thing. I knew it was coming a fair way before the final. But, you know, we won it and we had the parade. So it was a great 3 days. I didn't want it to tarnish that. But after that, I kind of knew it was done. So, yeah, from my perspective, you have a chance to process that. Whether I feel it was unjust, I mean, it's just, you know, other people make those decisions, they make those determinations. That's up to them. You'd have to ask them their reasoning for it. But you know, what I do know is I had 2 years where it was you know, very, very challenging, but you know, I worked with some fantastic people in the football department. The supporters, we put them through some tough times, but you know, there isn't a Spurs supporter that I don't come across now that doesn't want to hug me and take me home for dinner. So I must have done something right. And I think that's ultimately that's what we do it for. I'm very proud of what we achieved there, and you know, it'll always take a special place in my heart. I didn't have a great deal of interaction with Daniel. That's the reality of it. You know, I tend to get on with my daily business and do what I need to do. You know, he was there for a very long time. He invested a hell of a lot in that football club in terms of building it up to where it was. You know, I guess he appointed me, so I've got to be, you know, thankful for that, and hopefully I repaid it with, you know, providing a trophy that they hadn't had for a very long time.
Asmir, it's good to have Ange back, actually, isn't it?
It's good to have him back. He's been so great for the Premier League in the last couple of years with Tottenham, and yeah, he deserves to be back. Maybe a harsh sacking at Tottenham for everything he did there, and obviously the trophy at the end, but yeah, it's good to see him at Forest, and I'm sure he'll be excited for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you make of what you said there about knowing he was going to be sacked? In terms of the final, would that make winning it harder or extra motivation?
I think for him it's probably a little bit of extra motivation. Also, at the same time, he's such an experienced manager, so he would have had many dealings with the board, with owners, the football clubs, and so many things get said behind closed doors, and I guess there was a private understanding of what was going to happen. So for him, I think for himself would have been extra motivation to keep that team focused on the final and win that final and go out on probably the highest note possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, it wasn't long either, timing-wise. Postecoglou appointed by Forest just 12 hours after Nuno Espirito Santo was sacked, and he believes that he's got nothing to prove to anybody.
Yeah, really excited. I mean, it's obviously great to be back in the Premier League, but great to be in charge of you know, a club with such a storied history, who I firmly believe are on their way up, and I think it's a great place for me to be. I was really keen to again go to a club that will give me that platform to continue sort of the career I've had so far, and that is to continue winning things. That was important to me. Not that they're in a position to do that, but that they have that ambition.
Well, we know you win a trophy in your second season.
I won a couple in my first as well. Celtic, I won a double in my first year, so
there you go. Going to win one in your first then?
Yeah, well, of course I can, yeah. I mean, you know, I may have to have a second year here, mate. So, yeah, I want to win trophies. That's what I've done my whole career, and that's what I want to try and do here. And from that point of view, like I said, you know, looking at sort of the opportunity that exists here is that every club wants to be successful for sure, but what I've seen over the last few years is since the president took over the club is that those ambitions are backed up with actions, and it's perfect conditions for me. I don't see it as a point to prove. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. They're not going to love me from the first day. That's something I've got to earn. I've got to earn their sort of trust and respect. They'll get behind us for sure because I'm the Nottingham Forest manager, and they always do. But longer term, I've got to earn people's respect and trust as I have everywhere else I've been. And I know if we can tap into that, we can create something really special.
Okay, so he says he's got nothing to prove. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. I think he has a lot to prove, and that's probably why he's back, and that's why he's taking the challenge on. I think he wants to show He's a top class manager. He wants to go out on with a higher, better experience. I think obviously how things happen at Tottenham, especially with their league form last year, I think he wants to prove, listen, he can go into a big club like Nottingham Forest and give them another good season. Nottingham Forest coming up an amazing season, qualifying for Europe. He's got a lot of work to do because that's an incredibly high bar to set. So I think for himself, he's always got something to prove. I think we all professionals, all managers, players, they always have a point to prove in one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of his playing style, do you think that is a good fit for Forest?
I think that's the most fascinating question out of all of them with this appointment, because if you look at Nottingham Forest under the time with Nuno, a team that was, compact, defended deep, loved to go on a counter-attack, played quite direct to Chris Wood, used his strengths. So it wasn't a team that was building up from the back, whereas Ange Postecoglou likes to build from the back, uses goalkeeper, uses defenders, get control of the ball, and of course press incredibly high. So how does this affect those players? Because it's going to be a complete shift in mentality and a way of playing. So I can't wait to see how it all plays out, because it's a massive difference in the way they're going to play and approach games.
Yeah, when you think about it, in terms of the appointment, some were surprised about it. So they've gone from a manager who took them from 17th in the table to Europe, and this manager at Tottenham went from Europe to 17th in the table. From that perspective, does it seem like an odd appointment to you?
Yeah, if you look at it that way, potentially. But at the same time, I think, as we know in football, it's not always about results and people getting jobs or getting sacked and losing their jobs. I think it's about personal relationships and other things that happen behind the scenes, maybe that we don't see. So Nuno definitely wasn't sacked because of results, because what he achieved was absolutely incredible. So there must have been a breakdown in relationship. So when you're looking at someone else to come in, Ange Postecoglou and his CV and his resume will demand and really command the respect of all the players immediately. I think that's really important. So he will have buy-in right away. It's just whether he can collect these players and get them to play in the way he wants and how he wants to be successful.
Yeah. OK, right, let's get to Dave Reed, who's been doing a deep dive into Forest, shall we say?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So, as we've been talking about, we've heard a lot about style of play, etc. when it comes to Ange Postecoglou. Forest will have to balance European football and a Premier League campaign this year. Now, Ange Postecoglou has experience of that last season with Spurs. This is why he thinks his new squad might be able to handle it better.
When I look at the squad, there's certainly a little bit more experience than there was. We signed some young players at the beginning of the year last year, Spurs, which we had to blood. But I just know the demands of Thursday, Sunday football, particularly when you're playing in Europe.
So let's go into that point. Let's take a look at the makeup of the squad. Now, the Forest starting 11 from this season so far is certainly older than his average age at Spurs last season, and the average age of the whole squad is slightly lower at Forest right now, but it is slightly closer to what he had at Spurs this season as well. There have been plenty of conversations about style of play and systems, but Ange says he's shown himself to be adaptable.
I've played just about every system there is. I've played 3 at the back, 5 at the back, 3 in midfield, 3 strikers, 2 strikers. Mate, I've done 4-4-2 for a whole season.
Let's take a look at his formations used then, shall we? This is all at Spurs, by the way. 4-3-3 used 51 times, followed by 4-2-3-1 47 times. There was the odd occasion where he played 3 at the back and a different kind of 4 at the back system. He did use 3 at the back quite often as well when he was national team manager of Australia. So certainly over his time at Tottenham Hotspur, it was pretty stable back 4. What are we going to see at Nottingham Forest?
OK, yeah, what are we going to see at Nottingham Forest? What do we think?
Yeah, again, I think that's going to be the interesting thing, because he's definitely played different systems. Obviously, he's not afraid to change systems, but it's more the behaviour and the style of play that interests me, because, like I said earlier, Nottingham Forest and the way the players they had, I look at the likes of Milenkovic at the back. Is he really going to be happy pressing all the way into the opponent's half, leaving a lot of space that he has to cover? When you look at the signings Ange Postecoglou made at Spurs, very specific to his style of play. Obviously Christian Romero was there, Mickey van der Veen was there, was brought in, to really be able to handle that with the pace, covering one-on-one situations. So, yeah, I don't know if the squad is exactly molded to the way he wants to play and the structure that he wants to play. Systems come and come and go. They change a lot of times depending on your personnel available. But it's more the behaviours and the style of play that interests me.
How difficult is it for a squad to, get on board with a new style of play, especially with a new manager?
I think it can be difficult. I don't think it's maybe always going to be amazing right away, overnight. I think there's going to be a bit of time. I think probably the best thing about this appointment, it's really early in the season. So there's not been many games played, a lot of games to be played. Well, the only thing with the European games and their schedule coming up, there might not be too much time on the training pitch. So whether he can implement these ideas on the fly, use maybe video, try and use analysis of certain games that he's managed before to show the players and teach them different ways. So he's going to have to do it very quickly in that sense. But as the season goes on, I would imagine they'll be a lot more comfortable playing the way he wants them to play.